In this class, I want to consider the role of technology. If we look at the long expanse of human history, or even the most recent developments in our society and economy, there's little doubt that technology, know-how, the tools that we have, the ways we organize our economic life are the most significant long-term drivers of change that humanity can control. Of course, different institutions have major effects. Wars and peace have major effects. Climate can have enormous consequences over the very long term. For example, the shift from the Ice Age or the Pleistocene to our era of civilization, the Holocene. That was an environmental change, not in human control, or the climate change that we are now inducing much more rapidly. But it is technological know-how that has powerfully reshaped society time and again from the most ancient times. Our early ancestor was named by scientists Homo habilis, the able member of the Homo genus. That is a great ape with ability to make tools, ability to use technology. Our most basic myths, like the gift of fire from Prometheus in Greek mythology, talk about the role of technology as a fundamental shaper of society. And when we explore the transformation of each age of globalization into the next age, it is usually technology, new tools, new scientific and engineering capacities that push humanity into a new era. Well, we can go back 2 million years in terms of the use of technology, because perhaps the most fundamental technological breakthrough was the one referred to in the Promethean myth, and that is humanity's harnessing of fire. Now, the best evidence is that this began already around 2 million years ago, when humans learned from nature, from natural fires, wildlife fires, to control fire, to take fire from a burning place to their own place of sleep or settlement or hunting grounds. And fire, of course, played fundamental roles in human life and survival and in thriving. Fire was used for cooking, which vastly expanded the amount of calories and the quality of food that humans ate to support big brains, which in turn supported biologically and socially the advances of humanity. Fire is a core method used by foragers for attracting predators that come after an open fire, and so it's used for hunting. Fire is used to protect against predators. Fire is used, of course, for light in the evenings, for warmth against cold temperatures, to strengthen tools, stone tools, and eventually later for working of metals. So the harnessing of fire from 2 million years ago is not only central for humanity, for our biological as well as our social evolution, but is also paradigmatic of how a breakthrough technology can have pervasive effects on all aspects of human life and economic activity. Now, when we think about technology throughout the ages, we therefore need to consider the wide range of activities that constitute human society and the economy. And economists break down the economy into categories that are quite useful for us. Food gathering and food production, or agriculture, is an area where there has been massive breakthroughs in technology and know-how for millennia, for thousands and thousands of years. mining and the extraction of building materials, metals, and primary energy sources like coal, oil, and natural gas. A second category of economic activity is also an area where we're going to see enormous and at times decisive breakthroughs in technological know-how. Construction to build our habitats, our homes, to build today our office buildings, our roads, our urban structures, our infrastructure that connects cities and connects countries around the world. Again, an area where there has been thousands and thousands of years of advances in technological know-how. The transformation of agricultural and mineral primary commodities into useful tools, manufacturing, building the machinery, food preparation, turning primary commodities into building materials, turning agricultural commodities into paper and fibers for fabrics. All of that requires vast know-how. Of course, information and communications are not only another area of economic activity, but an absolutely fundamental area of technological breakthroughs. And this becomes so starkly clear in our digital age, or an age of nothing less than artificial intelligence, of course. So how we gather, store, transmit information, writing systems, books, even the physical media, whether it's paper or integrated circuits and memory chips that contain the data that are transmitted. These are areas where technological breakthroughs have repeatedly reshaped human history. Transport, to move goods, to move people, to move armies, is another category of where technological breakthroughs have changed the shape of global society, military power, the extent of empire, and the ability to trade across long distances in the world. Finance, another economic category of activity, the ability to use wealth of various kinds, to deploy that wealth, to garner resources, to trade that wealth, to manage wealth, to save across time. Another area where technology matters a lot. Banking, payment systems, all are areas of technological know-how and technological change. How we educate the young is another area of technology, the one that we're involved in right now with new forms of education, depending on, in this case, new digital technologies. Healthcare, an ancient craft, we know, but an area where technology and scientific understanding is absolutely fundamental, and where there have been repeated revolutions of medical knowledge in the ability to save lives that mean that life expectancy over time, over long periods, has gradually increased to now life expectancy in the 80s, 85 or 86 years in the countries in the world with the greatest longevity today. Military technology, of course, is a fundamental way that society transforms, who conquers whom, how knowledge of manufacturing or of primary energy or of information or of finance or transport can be converted to the ability to deploy and project military power for purposes of defense or conquest is a basic story of technological change over time. And a final category of great importance for our lives and an area also of technological advance is how we govern, what institutions governments can deploy for investments in public activities. And here too, we will see throughout history many technological advances in the ways that public functions are carried out. So when we think about technological change, we will see time and again that this is a basic driver of long-term human change. It's happening so fast in our societies now that it's a short-term driver of tremendous change and, in fact, tremendous disruption. And it is a pervasive feature of society. So when we talk about technology or know-how or tools, please always keep in mind that broad range that I've mentioned of agriculture, of mining, of construction, manufacturing, information and communications, transport, finance, education, healthcare, military technologies, and public administration. They are all subject to new methods, new tools, new forms of know-how, and advances in these areas can advance human well-being, but can also advance the lethality of conflict and the nature of conquest. So when we watch technology, we'll see that it is multifaceted, multidimensional, pervasive in human history, and a factor across our societies and economy.